everybody. I'm Erica Taylor, and you're watching another episode of Behind the Mic in the Red Velvet Cake Studios. Today, we're going behind the scenes with recording artist Joe. He's a 7-time Grammy-nominated artist, and he's out with his newest album, Signature, out in stores July 14th. Let's go behind the mic and find out what Joe has to say about his music and his message. Joe, welcome to the Red Velvet Cake Studios.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
And glad to be talking about your newest album that's coming out July 14th, Signature.
Yes. Very excited about that. July 14th is a very special day, and it's always special when you put all that hard work in and finally, you get to put it out and people get a chance to feel what you feel.
Yeah.
Very excited. I mean, I wrote and produced the whole album, and, I'm kind of taking it back. I mean, Magic and one other record are pretty much sequence songs, but the rest of the album was all live music.
Very cool.
So, I mean, it doesn't feel like you're at a concert, but it feels like you're back in the 70s a little bit.
Yeah.
It's that old school feel.
Yeah, and this is your 9th album, correct?
If you're counting the greatest hits, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Okay. Well, we'll count the greatest hits, so it's your 9th album.
That's right.
And what makes this particular album a little different than the others?
Well, it's the first time actually I really produced the whole album. I produced on my own, and pretty much wrote on my own. So it's like I'm responsible for my records that have been very successful for me. Like All the Things You Man Won't Do, I wrote and produced. I Want to Know as well. Good Girls and so forth and so on. Faded Pictures and even records for other artists. So I just decided to go back to basics. I mean, my fans have been sort of screaming for my own style and I'm just loving it. I mean, I'm in a great place right now where I can really focus and concentrate and just be in a certain zone. When you got so many people making your life so comfortable and so easy, like a major record company, you don't get a chance to get that hustle, back in you. So now that I'm independent, it's sort of like a new flame been lit. And I'm having a great time.
Do your own thing.
I can do my own thing. It's great. It's like at the end of the day, we all want that stability.
Yeah.
And this is sort of a step in the right direction.
Well, we can definitely hear that throughout this album. Talk to me about some of the collaborations you have going on here.
There are no collabos.
All right.
It's all about me on
It's
this
all
record.
about you. Okay.
And the collabos would be the musicians, extraordinary musicians. I mean, a bass player by the name of Richard Bono, one of the baddest bassists in the world. I mean, if you ever see him play, he's from Africa.
Yeah.
And he's a master percussionist, and he does records with, Bobby McFerrin on some, impromptu sort of situations. And also I got great string section, from New Jersey and New York. I got a horn section from Chicago. So, I mean, everybody, it's pieces of the puzzles that just beautifully came together. It's a real nice project. I think the fans are going to appreciate me doing a record like this.
So when you're making a new album, what's kind of like your first thing that you approach when you're doing a new album?
Concept. For me, concept, because that pretty much puts me in the vibe of where I want to be. What do I want to talk about? And so it starts on a simple thing as a concept. And once you get that, you can pretty much flow from there.
Okay. And I understand with the Signature album, it's kind of like your journey of life, from what I've read.
Yeah.
Why is this particular album like a collaboration of Joe?
Well, it kind of took me back to the beginning. To have to go back to the beginning and start all over again. So it's like, okay, I went through all these major labels to sort of get back to square one, which is ultimately I've always wanted to own my own situation. I own my own publishing now as well. So it's like a rebirth. And now I feel the music in the direction I'm going with R&B. It's a rebirth of R&B again, the old school. I think it's going to come back to live musicians anyway at some point.
Right.
And why not me spearhead this whole movement? And just excited. I think it's going to inspire a lot of more kids to musically get involved in the music industry. As far as musicians, you can be a horn player, now you can get a gig doing that thing. And so it's great.
Okay. Well, Joe, just a few days ago, we lost an icon in entertainment, Michael Jackson. As an artist and as I'm sure a fan of Michael Jackson, how did his death impact you?
Well, devastated, still in shock. Wish it wasn't true, because he had so much more to give, and what he's done for the music world was just No one else, I think, in to come after me can ever do that. You know, it's just the power and the impact that he just left on us. It's kind of really hard to believe. It's hard to talk about because you feel like one of the family members still grieving.
Yeah.
And just an incredible artist. I mean, just probably the most inspiring artist I've ever heard of. His music vocally was just as good as his dancing, and he just really taught me a lot. His vibrato was impeccable. I mean, he knew how to control it.
Yeah.
Such great things about Michael, and he knew how to be a star. You know, he taught you how to conduct yourself, and you know, to reserve at sometimes too. You know, don't be all crazy and wilding out. You know, and whatnot. So there's a lot you can take away from Mike's history, and I'm still gonna be, you know, torn apart about this. I mean, it really threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, many of us grew up, newer generations, growing up with Michael Jackson. I mean, he hit so many different generations of people.
That's right.
And impacted everyone's life. Did you have a particularly favorite Jackson 5, the Jacksons, or Michael Jackson song?
Well, Jackson 5, Never Can Say Goodbye was one of my favorite. The Jackson 5, I always go back to the Destiny album. That's What You Get for Being Polite. It's one of my favorite records. And Michael on the solo tip, so many of those records. I mean, from Rock With You to Human Nature, Want to Be Starting Something, and man, you just keep going.
Yeah.
He has him, and it's just sort of like the whole family just were you know, trained and bred to just be great stars and artists, and if we can put the dedication into any of the things that we do that Michael put into his craft,
Yeah.
just look at how great we will be. You know, how far we can succeed, and we need to pay attention.
Yeah, he
Really,
was
really
the
understand
definition of hard work, wasn't he?
the definition of it, absolutely. You know, it's where Kobe gets it from, and you know, you look at the hard work, 8 hours a day. Kobe
Yeah.
puts in 8 hours a day on the court.
Yep, he
So
sure does.
that's where it all starts.
Well, thank you for touching on Michael. And back to your music.
Right.
Now, in a lot of your lyrics, Joe, we hear about love, we hear about lust, we hear about the things that you'll do that the man won't do.
Hey, well, you know.
So what we want to know is,
Somebody gotta do
are there some women that can vouch for these lyrics?
Ooh, I don't want to put nobody out there, man. You know, I mean, I still got to remain that good guy out here. I don't have no scandals on me right now. I'm clean.
You
I'm
trying
very
to stay clean, huh?
You know, you got to have experiences. I mean, that's the only way to really talk about it. You know, you got to be about it. It's like being a minister. Don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You know, if you're talking about driving 360 Modenas and living in mansions, you know, it's people feel it when it's true and real. So you got to be as honest and real as possible. And I try to be as honest. And I want to big my brother Chico DeBarge up as well. He's coming out with an album on the same day.
Yes, Chico's actually going to be joining us as well.
Is he? See, I'm putting it out there. You see the love I got for you, my brother. So you know, he'll talk to you once he get here about it. And I'm just excited to see him back on the scene.
That's great.
You
You
know,
give
doing
him
his
back.
thing. Of course, that's my man. It's family.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming to the Red Velvet Cake Studio. And
my
of course,
pleasure.
you can check out Joe's signature album coming out July 14th. And he'll also be joining us in studio for an in-studio jam, of which you can also see right here on blackamericaweb.com. I'm Erica Taylor. Keep clicking.